Hello everybody and welcome to the Talks a Lot Boys. I am your host, my name is Tyler, and today I am joined by the boys. We got Brennan.
What's going on, folks?
And we've got Kai.
How's it going?
So today we're doing something a little bit different. I know on this channel we typically, we just talk about music a lot. And occasionally do some weird improv stuff, but it's mostly talking about music. And we have this series where we will review albums and we'll rank all of the songs against each other and kind of come up with an objective tier list of all the songs from worst to first. Today, we're going to try to do something a little bit different. We're going to branch out into the world of animation. Whoa! Yeah, Star Wars Visions is the thing that just came out. Now, here's the thing. I never wanted to do a Star Wars video ever because the fan base is just the worst. And I mean, we're technically part of the fan base, but like,
yeah.
you know what I mean.
We're part of the problem.
So if this video happens to attract a lot of, sweaty mouth breather, keyboard warrior types, we may never talk about Star Wars ever again. But
we are starting this off with like just a sling of insults.
I figured the fact, yeah, I figured the fact that this is like an anthology. Each episode is different. It's made by a different studio.
It's not canon.
Yeah,
so,
none of it's canon.
So it can't be argued, really?
This would translate well to our formula that we've been using for album reviews. So what we're going to do today, after watching the entire series, we are going to rank all 9 episodes in order from worst to first. I thought that this would just be a fun experiment. Let us know down below if this ends up being cool and you want us to do more stuff like this, or if this was a miss and we will never do anything like this again and we'll stick to music. But we're gonna jump right into it. Before we start breaking down these episodes, I just want to hear your overall thoughts and opinions on Star Wars Visions as a whole. I know we have some differing opinions here because Brennan does not watch anime at all. Kyle,
nope,
watches some anime, and I, as you can see from behind me, I am just a gigantic fucking weeb. All I do is watch anime, and we're all Star Wars fans. So we're going to have some differing perspectives here, which is going to be interesting. Brennan, since you are the non-anime boy of the group, I want you to go first. What did you think of Star Wars Visions?
Since I'm the non-believer of anime. So, this series is pretty much like the anime Star Wars that I didn't know I needed, but I still don't really need it. All in all, like that, it's good. It is good. Some episodes definitely are better than others, I feel. I like that some of them don't really have like a resolution. Like you can tell, like maybe if they come back to something like this, like a season 2, maybe they'll expand upon what happens, because there are a lot of like loose ends.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, like the fights in it were really cool. You have like your anime style kind of like lightsaber duels. Very like definitely more of like a different taste than what you have like the old animated series that Star Wars has, but like in a similar light, because they kind of have more freedom to do stuff with that than they do like live action stuff. And
right.
It was really cool. Like you got to see Star Wars in like a totally different light, which I thought was cool. But I thought it was pretty good.
Cool. See, I was worried you were just going to fucking hate the whole thing. Because I was watching some of these episodes, and I'm like, I don't think Brennan's gonna like this at all. But I'm glad to hear that you liked it.
I mean, I'm definitely not an anime guy, but like some like the anime tropes that they had in it like weren't bad. You can tell like it was done in good taste. Like
fair.
Like, the anime studios weren't trying to like piss off like Star Wars altogether, but you had your little bit of homegrown cooking going on.
Hell yeah. Kyle, where are you at with this? Did you also enjoy Star Wars Visions?
I massively enjoyed this.
Wow, okay.
Even though I think that like I agree that some are better than others, I still think it's just such a cool idea to allow this to happen. Because I think one of the biggest things that I have issue with the Star Wars universe at the moment is that it kind of feels like they push themselves into a corner a little bit over time, where like the story has just kind of gone away, and then they were so forced to go in a direction, that they had to like kind of break the rules a little bit, where they kind of pull Palpatine out of nowhere, you know, and all that kind of. I mean, I guess spoilers if you haven't seen it, but it's way removed now. Who fucking
living under a rock now?
I know, pretty much. I mean, like I heard about him being in that in episode 9 like months before the actual movie came out, so you know. But anyways. I think that the problem with the Star Wars universe is it feels like that like the actual like mainline story, if you'd call it, that everyone's more like the more popular one, has just become really stale. And like when they try to do something a little different with it, it just kind of like doesn't feel much like something new happening. And whether that's Disney's hands on it, just not great ideas in general, who knows. But the reason why Mandalorian and this series has just like brought me so much like Star Wars hype is because they're just like unique little stories in the universe of Star Wars that are just like they're little nuggets. I think some of these episodes in particular in this series brought me so much joy just because they felt so Star Wars. Like they just had like a little tale of like maybe like a Jedi and a Padawan going on a little journey to a planet, doing a thing, ending with like this like kind of cryptic message with like this looming threat, and then like we'll see what happens. And then but it has like these Star Wars moments in it. And it just feels so good, you know. I think all the studios that picked were really great choices. It kind of gave you like a really nice little like taste of many different styles. I mean, in reality, when you have a show like this, or like a series like this rather, where like each episode's not connected to the next, just little stories, not canon, can you really go wrong? I feel like it's just like a great little recipe for them, you know, like even if the episode isn't the best, it's still like a fun little, oh cool, somebody's gonna enjoy this and it's gonna be good. So I had a great time. I'm happy to talk about it. I'm excited.
Awesome.
What did you think?
I'm in the boat of like I enjoyed most of it, and then some of it I didn't enjoy as much, because the thing is like, and I kind of expected that going into this because like I've seen a lot of other like animated anthologies for other franchises. Like Halo did it a long time ago. The Matrix did it a long time ago. There's probably been other ones. And they always have like very strong ones and very weak ones, in my opinion, kind of mixed throughout. But I really love when franchises that are as big as Star Wars, you know, give all these different animation studios the chance to kind of make their own stories in the world. I was so happy when they announced that this was even happening, because like Star Wars is the perfect IP to just like, you can do whatever you want basically because the universe is so huge, and you're gonna piss off like most of the fans, but it's fine because it's like, this is Star Wars. It's just, that's the way it is. And obviously I'm a huge fan of anime in general. I'm just a huge fan of animation in general, so getting to see just a bunch of different animation styles and a bunch of different takes on the same like franchise, it's just so cool to see, you know, all these different people's interpretations of this one singular franchise. Super awesome. And I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would ever go back and like rewatch some of them, but like I'm happy that this exists, because I think in a way it's just cool that they're giving this franchise like an opportunity to kind of, like you said, Kyle, like break away from the staleness that we've kind of been sitting in for like a really long time at this point. I've been really burnt out on Star Wars over the last few years. Mandalorian's been great, but even that, like, I just feel like Star Wars has been done to death, and the main plot, like you said, is just kind of in this state of like being incredibly stale, and just I'm done with it. So this kind of was a breath of fresh air, I think. I think, and one that was very much needed for Star Wars at the moment. Yeah,
for sure. I feel like Disney kind of finally realized that, like, especially with like Mandalorian and maybe even like the last season of Clone Wars as well, where they like once they got like new hands kind of coming in and just like being able to take it over and kind of like breathe that little bit of life into it, kind of take things in a new direction. They were like, oh shit, this works. Hey, all these studios that everyone loves, we heard anime is kind of cool. Get on in here, fuck with our franchise. And I liked it a lot.
Hell yeah. Well, let's start breaking down these episodes. Like I said at the beginning, we are going to rank all 9 of these episodes from worst to first. Hopefully, there will not be a ton of arguing. Hopefully, we'll get through this in a civil manner. But I don't know how wildly different our opinions on this are going to be. But yeah, let's see what we have to work with so far. I'm just going to list off all the episodes in the order they appear. So, episode 1 is The Duel. Episode 2 is Tatooine Rhapsody. Episode 3 is The Twins. Episode 4, The Village Bride. Episode 5, The Ninth Jedi. Episode 6, TOB1, which I think it's funny that it sounds like Obi-Wan. I thought it was going to be called Toby. It's not. It's TOB1.
He ends up saying Toby in it, like once he like kind of becomes the.
Oh, does he? I guess I missed that.
Yeah, whenever like
once he
Force
becomes
Ghost,
like a Jedi.
like right at the end, he's just like,
zoned out
"You did it, you did it, Toby. Go get him!" And then he just goes, and it's over.
Episode 7 is The Elder. Episode 8, Lop and Ocho, and episode 9, Akakiri. I think is how you say that. So I'm gonna hit you with the question I always hit you with when we do the album reviews. What goes at the bottom? Are there any episodes that stand out to you as being worse than all the rest of them? I have a few in my head that I think deserve to be at the bottom.
Same.
Are there any that you guys immediately jump to when you think this is the worst that this had to offer?
I want to ask Brennan what his opinion is, just because he's not the anime guy. So I'm curious to know, like, as like a less in the scene of anime.
I am coming straight off the speed watch.
Yeah.
I think TOB1 definitely should be towards the bottom.
Agreed.
Same.
Some of the decisions are kind of tough. I'd probably say, man, I like that one though.
well, I'll ask you, which one is it that you're thinking of that you just went? I like that one.
For some reason, I keep coming on Lop and Ocho.
Really?
I liked that one.
I like that one.
I don't think that's gonna be bottom 3.
That's why I'm like, because I think it's like middle of the pack.
Yeah, I think there's 2 other ones that are worse than that.
I don't know. What do you guys got?
There's one other one for me that's
because I think, like I said, I think TOB1.
The other one that stands out to me is what was it called? The Village Bride.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. That's
I'm in a completely different place.
Uh-oh.
Than you guys. I have 2 other ones that we did not name that I think should be at the bottom.
Oh boy.
Tatooine Rhapsody.
Okay.
Just because it didn't feel like Star Wars in any sense, to me. I loved the animation.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute, but like it felt weird playing like a shitty rock show for Jabba the Hutt. It just felt kind of off.
I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
But I was just I feel what you're saying about that one, and I have like some counter arguments, but I think we'll get to it as we go. So
yeah,
what other
I don't hate that one. I just think it's a weaker one. The one that I genuinely did not enjoy, and this is a shock to me because this is the one I was excited for the most out of all of them, was the first Studio Trigger animation, The Twins. I hated it.
Really?
I hated it.
Wow.
The writing was trash. The dialogue was trash. Just the entire time.
Was pretty bad, yeah.
I loved the animation because, it's Studio Trigger. The shit looks exactly like all the stuff they're known for. I watched Promare last weekend. This was not at that level, but like it was up there as far as animation quality goes. But like my main problem with it was just that like it felt like they just went to Studio Trigger, was like, hey, have you heard of Star Wars? And they were like, yeah, I think. And it's like, cool. So like write a script. And then they just Googled like Star Wars quotes. And then they just made an entire script out of nothing but Star Wars quotes that they had no idea what they meant. And then it's just the entire fucking thing just felt like every other line was like, hey, I've got a bad feeling about this. Oh man, may the force be with you. Oh geez, like it was just like constant quote. I can't even think of any off the top of my head, but it was just like constantly shoving quotes down your throat. And like the dialogue in general was just kind of like weird. And you get that sometimes with anime,
Yeah.
because when you're translating it from Japanese, it gets kind of like, people don't talk like this. But like, it was like that, the unwieldy dialogue mixed with like the barrage of quotes. It bugged me a lot. The fight was great. The fight was a spectacle to behold. The entire rest of it, I did not like it.
Well, I tell you what,
I was surprised I'm the only person who didn't like that one.
I mean, that episode's towards the bottom for me too, but I didn't think it was like terrible.
I definitely don't think it's near the bottom in my personal opinion. I definitely like agree with like your points. Like I thought it was pretty like every time they did a quote, I was like, I get it. Ha, it's Star Wars. But like I still think like the concept was interesting at like the bare bones of it, where it was just like they had like 2 Star Destroyers that like connected with like the Kyber. That's another thing. I'm just gonna get this out of the way right now. I love that they focused this entire series around the Kyber crystals. Like every single episode had that as like the focal point, and that's like not been talked about much, especially in the main line of Star Wars. Of course, it's been talked about like in the comics and all sorts of off branches, but like as far as like this series goes, the Kyber crystals were like the like pinnacle of everything, and it was super cool to see like different studios do a different take on why they're important, whereas this one had it like being like the like synonymous with like the Death Star beam, basically, where like this Star Destroyer had like 2 parts, and the brother and the sister had suits that were powered up by the Kyber crystal that together linked together to create a beam that could destroy planets.
If you couldn't tell, this was made by the people who made Kill la Kill up until that point. Then when they're like have suits made of the like it's
it definitely is Kill la Kill. It's very like I haven't seen Promare myself. I don't know how it is, but like Promare is just like we're firefighters, but with Gundams. It's just them jumping around,
wild,
being Gundam firefighters and shit. And it's like cool. Like it definitely has that energy, but like. I just think like the animation in it and like the concept and like kind of how they created a bit of a plot to it too, with like the brother and sister being created from the crystal, and then like one of them going rogue, and then almost it being a play on like the dark versus the light side, like maybe like an early like kind of telling of that. I just thought there's a lot of cool ideas, and there was like some comedic bits where like his little droid was like, "Don't worry, we're gonna get out of here." The doors open, there's just stormtroopers. He's like, "Shit," and like like. I don't know.
Well, no, he was the one that was saying we'll get out of here. The droid was like, they're gonna see where we're at, dude.
Right? Yeah, that's what I meant saying. My bad.
They're gonna find us. And he's like, no, they won't. Open the door.
And I don't know. I just thought there was a lot of cool moments. I feel like some of it was like really cheesy, but like I guess going into like watching a series of anime studios create Star Wars, I wasn't too put off by it because I was kind of expecting it in a sense. I mean, definitely more overbearing than any other episode. I would agree.
Yeah.
Whereas other episodes kind of slid in little lines every once in a while, like "Don't Tell Me the Odds" was there a couple times in a couple other episodes as well, and other little quotes. But
they put I have a bad feeling about this in every single episode, I think, but that's also the one quote that they like always put in every movie. So like that one is like, okay,
that makes sense.
That makes sense. They're including that. It was just the sheer amount of quotes that came from this one just felt. Like, the more it happened, like, the more I just crinkled up, and I was like, just stop talking, like...
See, and, like, I get that, and I feel that, and I think that's a big knock to it, so that it shouldn't be near the top, but I also think that, like, the concept and kind of, like, the something that I love about these episodes is the lore that they create, whether it be on the Kyber Crystal or just, like, the little bit of time they have to, like, kind of give you a little lore dump, is what kind of intrigues me about them, and I like the little lore world it created. I liked the animation a lot, some of the best of the entire series as well. And I think because of the cool like lore bit and the really great animation, I feel like it just can't be near the bottom. Like, well, not near the bottom, but like can't be one of the bottom like 2 or 3 in my mind.
I will say that like it's Studio Trigger. The animation is incredible, but like. I feel like the animation isn't necessarily bad on any of these. Like,
fair.
So, like, I don't necessarily know... I don't know. In my eyes, the bad writing holds it back, like, a lot. But I will say that, like, it doesn't necessarily need to be last, because the animation is really cool. And, like, the base concept of it is neat.
Mm-hmm.
Just that dialogue is rough. I don't know, Brennan... Where are you at with this one?
I mean, it's literally light versus dark, and like it's broken down to its most simple form. I do like the fact that, I mean, it's like I like how it was written like script wise, but then like there were a lot of like cliches and little tidbits that were just thrown in that it was like, I think you're beating a dead horse at this point. But, I mean, I didn't think it was bad. I thought that like the fight scene was pretty neat up until they decided to do like the whole like episode 8 warp speed thing. I thought
fair.
that was that, and plus like the fact that they were able to just like kind of like hang out in space. Like
They
aren't
did that
still
a
like
lot in this series,
humanoid-
though,
Yeah, but
as it went
Princess
on.
Leia used the Force to survive in space in the one movie that everyone loves, and that's canon, so
See,
I don't
but
have a problem with that.
Yeah, but,
seems
like,
it
to
seems
that
like they just
level,
kind of threw
though?
that out the window in this whole series, because when you get to like the Ninth Jedi episode, they're all just kind of out on the outside of the like in space, no like cover or anything, chilling around the spaceships, fighting
Yeah.
out in space, and it's like, oh, okay, so we're just like, this is just a thing that we're accepting, I guess. Here,
I guess
it's just
so.
something I kind of like pulled my disbelief away from. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, it's just something that we're not going to talk about.
Yeah,
Which is
I
whatever.
mean, but I am talking about it. That shit was ridiculous. And then like so, they fly in with an X-wing at warp speed. Fucking like my man has his lightsaber that he's able to just like magically like send like as far as possible as he wants to. All right, cuts this fucking ship in half, the Star Destroyer, and manages like you see it like ride up his sister's chest and just hits the kyber crystal.
Yeah. It's
Like,
anime.
what the fuck-
And he's got
It's
the
anime, bro.
He's got the power of anime and the Force on his side.
That's
But
so strong.
even in the other ones, it was even like somewhat more like legit.
I guess so,
Like,
but like, I don't know. It's Studio Trigger. They do dumb shit like that
No,
all the
yeah.
time. It's just like, it's all
Which is probably
flair.
why-
Like, no.
which
Yeah.
is probably why I'm
I
not,
don't
I'm
know.
not like a big like anime guy.
I genuinely thought that part was really cool. But
I did
like,
too.
Until it was just like the shot of like the thing destroyed. I was like, oh, cool. First they were dropping a bunch of quotes from movies. Now they're literally just taking a frame from episode
movie.
8 and just shoving that in our face. Like, okay, this
Yeah.
clearly doesn't have a lot of original ideas.
That's fair.
Well, what do you want to be on the bottom? I mean, we all think Toby is weak.
I think
what's up?
I was just gonna say I think that should be the last place in my mind, and mainly because I actually didn't love the way they did the fight scene in it, because like I just feel like so much of like the movements happen so fast. It almost felt like there were like bits missing out of it, like where he get knocked back and then all of a sudden he's hitting him again, and like I don't know, it just like felt really like jarring at times in that whole sequence of that fight. And then like I also feel like nothing really happened in that other like Robo Boy is in Robo, it's Astro Boy, wow, he's wandering around the thing, he wants to be a Jedi, and then the Sith came and now he's fighting them. Whoa. Like everything else I get that it's probably more like a childlike episode, like more like a kid's story, similar to Tatooine Rhapsody, but like I feel like just like there was no depth at all to what was happening.
There wasn't.
Yeah.
There was
also,
no like setup.
Right off the bat, I think that's the one that immediately hit me with like, this does not feel like Star Wars in any way. Like between the
Correct.
art style and just the fact that like, I mean, when the Empire shows up, I mean, then it kind of feels like Star Wars.
Yes.
But like, he's a robot, but like he doesn't look like a Star Wars robot or like act like one. And like I think the art style is neat, but like the whole thing just did not feel like Star Wars. And I think that like, while the twins had the worst dialogue, this just had the worst writing in general. Like the story structure was just bad. Like
Now,
it literally goes from like the old man is just like, don't be a Jedi, that shit's stupid, you can't like that. But I had a dream about being a Jedi. All right, well, here's half of a lightsaber. I want you to go out and get that crit because you're gonna be a Jedi. I was like, whoa, you changed your mind really fucking quickly, sir. And then he dies, and like I guess the Sith dude was chill enough to bury him after he murdered him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what the fuck? I don't know. There were a lot of problems I had with just the overall story of that one.
That one, the thing that took me out of it so much was literally that the like the big like moment was that like it was like the Kyber crystal was the friends we made along the way. Like he got all the robots together, and then all of a sudden it pops out of his chest, and I was like, oh my god, the power of friendship! And like it was so weird. Like there was no explanation. Like why would he send me like the Kyber crystals on this planet and sends his Robo-son out to look for it in the desert, possibly to die? Who knows what the fuck's on this planet? He could go out and die at any second and never have known that the Kyber crystal was in his fucking chest the whole time.
I don't know.
Like what
maybe
the
that
fuck?
was like maybe that was his way of like saying that he was on his side when in actuality he like knew that the Kyber crystal was in his chest, and he was like, well, if this kid wants to be a Jedi, I'll just have him run around his entire life and never find the thing that'll make him a Jedi, and that'll be
sure enough, that kills
a real
him,
big
though,
fuck you. But then he finds it with the power of friendship and whatever anyway.
in world building.
It felt so like that was my problem with like all of the main points of that is just they all felt so abrupt because it literally went from like don't be a Jedi to be a Jedi, and then it went from like I'm fighting the Sith to like now I have the crystal, it just popped out of my chest and I'm fighting with it now like instantly.
Now
There's like no resolution to it at all, and then like there's no real ending because it just kind of like it feels like it sets it up for a show that I don't want to watch. Like
yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Because then, like, even it didn't even have any impact of what he did. Because then, like, it was comedic at the end. Because he was just like, "I'm good," and I'm like, "Oh," and they all kind of laugh and cheer, and then it ends. And I was like, but then he kind of, like, I like the idea of like him, because like as far as things I liked about it is like the art style was fucking gorgeous. I love like the drawing, like the like a watercolor-esque style of like the backgrounds and everything around like the animation of like the characters. And I also think that like the whole idea of like him creating life and taking life to other parts of the galaxy is just a cool like idea to kind of dabble on with like the scientist used to be a Jedi and now he just wants to create life and then like uses the Force energy in some way to do that. It's just a cool concept.
Yeah.
However, something I'd like to point out actually is both of the two episodes we've talked about being at the bottom are the two studios that made 2 episodes, and the other episodes from them I think are vastly better.
Oh, definitely.
In both situations. We said Trigger did Twins, but this one's Science Saru, who has done things as far as Devilman Crybaby in the past, Space Dandy, and Yokai Watch, to name a couple that like are like their big hitters. And I feel like, as far as like animation style goes, I never really thought like things like Devilman Crybaby were like intriguing to me. You know, like it didn't look very appealing. Whereas with this, I actually really like the way
Crybaby, mini tangent. I think Devilman Crybaby, the only reason to watch that is because of the visuals. Because boy, the fucking writing is terrible. I barely made it through the first episode.
That tracks here.
It was visually pleasing to the 100th tier, but like Jesus, that writing was oof.
Let us know if you want us to review Devilman Crybaby.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I will not be.
Please no.
You guys can have that all day long. Nope. I am good.
But yeah,
just look up the scene where a man gets eaten by a woman's vagina. It's the only scene you need to watch.
Oh,
okay.
That's pretty.
All right.
I'm in. No, I.
All right, I'll check that out.
But no, I think to me, like the just like no directionness of Toby kind of trumps the like cool direction and great animation but cheesiness of the other of the twins to me.
And I agree. The more we talk about it, the more I don't want to put Toby above the bottom spot at all.
Put Toby there,
very cool little story, I will say. Cool animation, some interesting ideas, but just not executed great. But they had 2 episodes to do, so maybe they just didn't spend as much time on this one. Who knows?
Yeah. What was the other one they made?
It was Akari.
Oh yeah, that one.
Akakiri, that's it.
What'd you guys think of that? Is that in the conversation yet, or are we?
I don't think it is. I was pleasantly surprised. I think the ending of that one surprised me legitimately. Like I didn't expect it to go the way that it did with like the whole it was a very dark way for it to end, like this season of Visions, or as you would call it, with like him like kind of falling to the dark side and using the dark side to like raise his ex-girlfriend from the dead. Because like here's the thing that I have that's really confusing about that episode is that in the description on Disney Plus it like talks about how the Jedi goes back to like see his like I don't remember what the words for it, but like it's forbidden love, I think. And so apparently they were dating, like him and the princess, but like they really don't talk about that like at all in the episode. It just says it in the description. So I'm not quite sure how much weight that has to the actual thing, if that's even real.
I mean, maybe they meant for it to be misleading. I mean,
maybe
they're meant to not give anything away, really.
The fact that I read it,
like pick up on it through context a little bit,
but like they're
I
never
didn't read the description, and I figured that out.
Yeah, you could get the idea, but then when I read the description, it was like whenever he killed her. I mean, if you didn't know this was a spoiler alert whole episode, fuck you. But whenever he like kills her, I was like, oh shit. Like, there's weight to this because I know for a fact that they were like forbidden lovers, you know, that he came back to see. Whereas, like, if you kind of like, oh, I don't know for sure, I feel like that weight is kind of like skewed a bit, like it's a little vague. I don't know. I thought it was really interesting. I feel like the first half of the episode and the second half of the episode didn't feel like they connected at all. Like, I didn't have to have the bit with the two old men at the beginning to have the ending with the fight with like the lady. The only reason why they were important is because she took them hostage and he felt bad, so he like put his lightsaber away, I guess. But like,
yeah, I think that like the ending of that was cool, but it took a while to get there.
That's fair.
Like,
I think
that one wasn't my favorite.
Same.
Not that I think it should be like next or anything, but like I don't think it should be like super high either. Brendan, what do you think about this one?
I feel like there was a lot that I had to wade through to get to the ending.
Yeah.
This is probably one I would put in the bottom half.
Same.
Because like I do like the fact that the series doesn't really end on a good note. Like, my man gives into the dark side, but then like, you know, he keeps talking about how like nothing's predestined, blah. But then like, you know, his destiny ended up coming to fruition. Even like his bad dreams, like he always like sees himself like killing this person who ends up being his ex. But I like the fact they took in that direction. However, like the rest of the episode's kind of muddy.
Yeah,
like especially with the two old dudes like leading them through the like, you know, like the passes and stuff. It's like probably could have a little bit better spending of time.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the biggest thing for me with it, with like the old men, was that like the reason it was there was to show that he was a good dude. Like, he was legitimately like a Jedi, like a nice guy that would go back, he'd save them, he'd come back to protect like the people that he had to leave for some reason. Who knows what it was? They don't really go into it. But then because of love, he would like go to the dark side just to save her. You know, like it's not like he was like kind of like tempted by the dark side this whole time. It was literally just like he's a Jedi, but to save the one that he loves, he will go to the dark side. And then the reason why I liked it so much was because of the ending, but part of that is the fact that they depicted the dark side in such like a sinister and like almost like a fucking parasite. Like the moment he starts to fall into it like the voices change, like it's this like deadly presence, the sky turns red, he sees like this doom and gloom everywhere around him the moment he becomes like pulled into it. And like it's just such a cool like visual display of like turning to the dark side compared to like the somewhat bright colors of like the first half of the episode. It was very cool contrast that I really liked the way they did it. Also cool to see like completely different takes on the universe from the same studio. The fact that these are the same people that did Toby is so cool. Like, especially with like the design of like the lightsaber fights. Like, you had like the like trails of the lightsabers in a certain way done with this one. Very cool.
That was like a really unique way of doing like the lightsaber, because normally it's just like they do like the big like arcs and there's like the smears and stuff, but like it was like mirror images of it almost. Like you just saw it. It was like it was captured at like a lower frame rate if they were doing it like on like a camera.
They left the frames like hang over.
That was a really interesting way of doing it.
I don't know. I just think that a lot of the decisions they made were cool. Was it like altogether a great package? No, but so many of the little like details, I feel like keep it from the bottom. Not necessarily put it to the top, but probably put it right near the middle of the pack for me.
Well, we're running into an issue because we keep saying that we want everything to be in the middle. Unfortunately, something has to go at the bottom now in the number 8 spot.
Tatooine Rhapsody.
I would agree.
I would also agree.
Now, it's tough because I think this episode's really, really cool. Like the fact that they kind of like play into another story of another Hutt, and like kind of pull into pod racing, have characters that are even voiced by the guy who voices Boba Fett is the voice of Boba Fett in it, which is cool. Boba Fett has some cool moments in it as well. The kind of like looming like beginning where it's like a like the one child running away from like who knows what. He's like getting attacked. He falls into like the barge, and then the Hutt, whatever his name was, the bass player, like helps him and brings him in. And the designs of the characters were cool and stuff, but I just feel like it was another one that just didn't really feel Star Wars. It only really felt Star Wars because there were characters in it and locations in it that were Star Wars to me.
Right. Like the story the story didn't tie in with Star Wars in any way other than the fact that like Boba Fett showed up and Jabba the Hutt was like a linchpin in the story.
And a Hutt is a band member.
Yeah.
Like that's
but the thing is, like, he does not look like a Hutt at all. Like, I did not put that together until they like explicitly said, like, hey, Jabba's gonna kill you because you want to be a bass player instead of working with the Hutts. And I was like, oh, he's a Jabba guy. Got it. I definitely did not see that until they said that. To its credit, I loved the art style. It was one of my favorite art styles in the whole freaking thing. But yeah, it just like, much like Toby, it didn't evoke like anything Star Wars related, except for like the 2 scenes where we see Boba Fett and Jabba the Hutt. It just feels so weird to see like a punk rock show in like the pod racing state. Like it was just so odd. And also like the song kinda sucked. Like we're a music channel primarily. We review a lot of tunes. That is not a tune I would put very high on any list. Probably. It was not good. So the music does not redeem that either. So I think all in all it was just
the vocal performance was a bit suspect.
He started singing, and I was like, that's who they cast for that. Okay, well,
I think I'm good on this.
I think it might have been purposeful that they weren't like the best band. I think that might have been like a plot, like a kind of story thing. Yeah. But I do want to say before we move on from it, because I think it deserves here. We're kind of on agreement. It was done by Studio Colorido. I'm not super sure how exactly you say that. The like main thing I found from them they did like recently that was kind of popular was the Twilight Wing series for Pokemon on YouTube.
Wow.
Which I really enjoyed. It was a nice little.
I never
Pokemon
watched
thing.
it, but like I knew of it.
It was a very cool little series they did. It had like no weight, but it was just cool little stories around the Galar region. And it kind of fit in with the exact same thing that this thing was going for. It was just like a cute little story in the realm of another universe that it just happens to be in, you know? And it was cool.
Right.
I also think the drummer's design was really fucking cool. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, he looked like a fucking D&D character.
He really did, with like the overalls kind of like going over the shoulders of the one that was connected to all the way around. It was just cool.
Yeah,
it was
that
clever.
was a really interesting design.
It was clever. And it was a cute story, but it just doesn't hold up to the other
character
ones.
designs can't save you from being an overall messy package. So we're going to lock that in at number 8. We're going to move on to number 7. So far in the running for the bottom spots, it's only 9 episodes, so we're kind of running out of the bottom here. There's only technically one more spot in the bottom for kind of like bottom 3, middle 3, top 3, you know? So the ones that we've kind of brought up so far have been the twins and Akakiri. Do we think either of those should be the best of the bottom tier? Put it that way. I think the twins should absolutely be number 7. I think that the dialogue holds it back that much, in my opinion. If it made me like physically cringe when I watched it, that's saying something. And I watch a lot of like anime with like bad dialogue, so like it's really saying something.
My only question for you, Tyler, is I brought it up earlier and we kind of brushed past it because you didn't seem to agree like at all, was I think The Village Bride deserves to be in the bottom half, in my opinion. And you didn't
The Village Bride smokes that one. I don't think it needs to be near the top, but like it's better than Twins, in my opinion.
I want to hear your defense of The Village Bride, because while I think it's a good episode and like well designed and animation's cool and everything. I just feel like the story was like trying to do too much, in my opinion, and it kind of just did itself in.
I mean, obviously, like, the resolution of it felt slightly unfulfilling because I did not really understand the main character's motivation by the end of it. I do think that they had a really good way of doing the world building. I think that is where the Village Bride really succeeded, because they kind of showed off like how this planet kind of worked and how their culture worked, without exposition dumping, and you still kind of got the full context. And I think that like the end, like, while it didn't make full sense just because we didn't have full context of the main character, I think that like the ending fight was really cool. I think it did a really good way of kind of like building up a little bit of tension toward the end. Like when the guy came to like kill her, and then the Jedi pulled out her fucking samurai lightsaber thing, and I don't know. I thought that part was cool. I definitely don't think it should be like top tier, but I think that like, I don't know, as a cohesive package, like I'm not gonna be pissed if we put it next, but like in my mind, I think it's at least better than the Twins.
That I agree with what you're saying. Just to me, I feel like with the end not really like kind of resolving much, and like never really knowing what the main character, quote unquote's, like actual motivation was, other than the one drop at the beginning where it was like, your master came here once. Yeah. And then that's why she's there, I guess. And she has a mask, and then she cuts her hair. So like, are we to assume that like because she cut her hair, she was like breaking free of something? Because like that's kind of like that whole thing, right?
Well, she was cutting off her like Padawan tail thing.
Okay,
probably has some significant. I don't know. I'm not like. I guess I'm not a real Star Wars fan. Put in the comments below why that was significant, because I'm apparently not educated enough. I know it had something to do with that.
I don't know. I just feel like the episode tried to do so much, where like it kept on dropping like these like really sweeping like lines of like what the Earth was to them, and like the conflicts on the whole civilization, and it just really never like amounted to anything other than a little fight where she stopped him from shooting him, and then he threw his helmet down that blew up the ship that made the droid stop, and then she did a cool thing that we didn't see.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I was like,
those are valid points. Those are very valid points. And I agree with all of it. Like, I don't think, I will say, I don't think the Village Bride should be any higher than 6.
Okay.
My counterpoint to what you were saying about how the end doesn't have any real resolution, neither does the ending of the Twins. He cuts her chest open, and the thing blows up, and then she just, like, goes away. And then he goes away.
The C-3PO-esque dude saves her and takes her off somewhere, and then he lands on the planet, and he's like, don't worry, we're gonna find her, and like has like a moment of like this is the next step, you know, like if we were to continue the story.
Maybe I was thinking of a different one. I think
it's very short. It's a very short thing at the end, so I get that. Like,
I was thinking of the end of the Lop and Ocho one.
That's fair.
Where the chick just like pieces out.
She's like slashed in the chest. You're like, she killed her, and then she flies away, and you're like, she didn't kill her.
I do like that one more than both of these ones.
I also like that one more than both of these ones. I can agree.
I don't know. I mean, if you want to put the Village Bride next, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with it too much, because you are bringing up a lot of good points. We can't put the Twins higher than 6. We just can't. That
is where I can agree more.
The dialogue is too bad to be higher than 6.
Brennan, what do you think about the Village Bride in particular?
I definitely tend to agree a little bit more with Tyler in this sense.
Okay.
I feel like, it did kind of take a lot of time, like setting up with how the world does, or like how the world like operates. I sense that, like, with the main character chick, she must be like kind of living under her master's shadow or something, and thus like always like following like, I guess, his teachings and the rules of the Jedi, like, we shouldn't be seeking violence and all that bullshit, And I think that whenever she cuts her mask off and like her Padawan tail, that's her kind of like breaking free of like because I feel like her master would have wanted her to like step up in that situation, but maybe she was like unsure of it with her like code that like her fucking dad like figure was talking about. Because I think that's like her moment where she realizes, okay, I need to do what's right, and what's right is defending these people, preventing this like fucking chief's daughter from being held captive, for collateral. Like, even though the fight doesn't really have a lot going on, I think it proves to the villagers that, this enemy that you guys are fighting up against, like, they're really not that powerful. And if you guys just, I mean, obviously they had a fucking Jedi on their side, but like, if you guys were to just like step up a little bit, like, you guys could do more than just be like fucking Earth people.
Yeah.
But
you sell me a lot on that, actually. I like the way you kind of like.
It was a very good way of selling that.
I liked it a lot. I didn't even think about it.
On the side of wanting this to be over the
twins. And honestly, I think you've swayed me past the twins, if I'm being honest with you. The other thing that I actually do like about that fight, other than the fact that you don't really see her like do the hit, is what kind of peeves me. But like, a lot of these episodes really lean into like the standard samurai duel of like it being like a couple like swift hits and then an ending because like they're just that good, like that kind of style.
Yeah.
There are a couple episodes that do extremely well that we'll talk about later, way later. But like, I think that like they kind of do that a little bit with this one, where like, even though the other dude isn't necessarily like a Jedi samurai dude, he still knows that like I'm just gonna like my helmet can like completely shut them down. Like even that is like a parallel to like that swift style too. With that,
and honestly, like I think that those types of fight scenes in the series work better than the really flashy shit like we get in Twins, which is cool.
I'd agree.
It's just pure like visual chaos, but like I think that because I know that George Lucas originally like based lightsabers off of like samurai fights and stuff, didn't he? Like he kind of had that in his mind. Obviously, it went way away from that in his own prequels that he directed. But like, no, that's a bad thing. I just think it's cool that they kind of like fully embraced that aspect in these. And I think that The Village Bride does a good job with that, even though they don't necessarily show it all the way.
That's fair.
And like the Twins is really cool, but like, Do General Grievous arms with laser whips really feel more like Star Wars than the fight that we got in The Village Bride? I don't think so.
That's fair. Was it cool as fuck? Yeah, but also, my other big thing that I liked, and like, you kind of touched on it, Ty, a little bit, is like the way that they like created the world a little bit. Like, they really like created a lot around this tribe and their tradition, and like I like that like the Force was not only like this strong thing like it is in Star Wars, but it also was like the life force of the Earth they talked about all over the place, and like how like the village paralleled that to the Jedi, and like that was a cool thing too. You know what? Like as we talk about it, I like that a lot more than I had originally thought. You guys,
much
definitely
better world building than like these two guys look like Darth Vader, and they have a kyber crystal.
Fair.
And
I still thought it was
I think that Village Bride should be 6 and the Twins should be 7.
I'm down.
I'm on board with that. Yeah.
Cool. We're gonna lock both those in.
Well, Akakiri.
I
actually think
do we want Akakiri to be under Village Bride?
I think I do. After we talked about it?
Okay.
If I'm being honest with you?
I do, but I didn't think you guys would want to, so I wasn't going to
You
start
really
that
sold
argument.
me on Village Bride.
Because for me, like, Akakiri, like, the last little bit of it is, like, really what you come for.
Yeah.
Like, because the whole episode, like, there's, like, some stuff that's kind of, like, doesn't really fit at all. Like, the whole pretty much first half of the episode, you can just fucking discard. But, like throughout it, they set up his, like whenever he's having, like, those crazy, like, headaches and he, like, loses all, like, will pretty much, like, you keep seeing this vision over and over and over again. And I thought that it was cool that, like, whenever, like, it actually happened, that it kind of looked, like, nonchalant. Like, because the camera, like, pans, like, way out. And you just see, like, what's her face, like the Sith Lord, basically just like feeding men to this guy, and then like you see like one of them doesn't look like the rest. And then of course my man just hack and slash, like heat of the moment, like does his thing, and then like he sees his vision like come to life. But I like all that. I like that, he ends up going to the dark side to save, this woman that I guess he used to love. But like that's literally it. In the episode, like everything before that is like leading up to that moment, and even in doing that, was kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
Completely, actually. So
Yeah, Village Bride just does a better like cohesive like long story
Yeah.
instead of it being like kind of broken up for that one.
I agree.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cinema Citrus that made the Village Bride.
Yeah.
Yeah, good episode. Good episode, dude.
I
They
didn't
haven't done a
think
ton.
that we were going to rank it this high, but I'm glad we are.
I'm glad we are too.
So
Now we're top
okay,
4.
so that was. I mean, I'm just going to do a
that
mini
fifth?
recap just for myself because I'm kind of.
Go
We
for
Well,
it.
just
Village
talked about it a
Bride
lot
would-
at once.
Village
fifth?
Bride would be 5 if we were to
Village
leave
Bride
it.
is 5. Okay,
Whereas-
so
I'm saying if
next
we don't feel
two-
it higher, but
the next two are going to be the Village Bride and Lop and Ocho, right?
starting on 5 and 4.
Because like I feel like the Duel, the Ninth Jedi, and the Elder are the top 3. Am I
Yes.
wrong in thinking that?
I would agree with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
those
Lop and Ocho was really cool in a lot of ways.
I really enjoyed that one. Yeah.
I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I think the animation style was really cool, especially because this studio actually has done like very little. This is like the most unknown studio of all of the ones that have done stuff, and it looked so good. I was like,
it was
"Hot
like
damn."
really high quality. Yeah.
It was like super like detailed and everything, especially like when they had like so many different like environments they went through. Like they had like the little like the city market. They had like the cool highway bit. They had like the factory. They had the beach. They had like the
yeah, they had a lot of
like
set pieces. I didn't even really think about that. But
and
yeah.
it was all so detailed. I was like, hot damn. And I think the story was kind of interesting
Yeah.
with like the adopted daughter. And then like over time, you find out that like Ocho, the one that really wanted her to be a part of the family, is like, nah, man, the way we go is with the Empire. And then like she even
Yeah.
like cuts it off right there in front of her, literally, with the hair. But
yeah, I really liked that. I mean, I think that this one does the world building even better than the Village Bride. Like
same.
they set up like this planet that's like under Empire rule or whatever, and like I think that's a really cool like story beat to like focus your episode around, is like, because you have to think about it from like a political perspective. You know, if the Empire came in, like there's a reason that like the Empire has supporters, if you think about it, because like in certain people's eyes the Empire is a good thing because they're offering, you know, like stability kind of to some of these planets, but like at the expense of their freedom basically. And that's kind of where the whole conflict lies, and I think that's just a really cool like focus point for the story. And it set up like a really great way for, you know, to set up a kind of a conflict to like split the family, where like the dad is like, I'm not gonna fucking give up my freedom because these guys want to come in, and then the daughter's like, oh well, like we're not gonna survive unless like we just let them come in, like help us out. And I thought that just added, like, that was a really, really, like, it wasn't, like, deep, but, like, for only having 15 minutes to, like, craft a story.
It was clever.
Yeah, it was clever. And I think they did a really good job with it, too. Having, like, the adopted daughter kind of be, like, try to be the bridge between the real daughter and the father having their fight. And then, like, the father gives her, like, the family heirloom lightsaber because the actual daughter, like, went rogue. And it's, like, I don't know. They managed to shove, like, so much, like, lore and world building into that 15 minutes and, like, and still tell a story at the same time. Like, they wove it together so well. And I respect them a lot for kind of putting that together. I don't
also, like,
think it should be any higher than this at
Same.
all. But, like,
Same. I think the other three are
so good.
incredible.
Yeah.
They're incredible. But this one is like the closest to getting to them while still like not quite getting there. And I think my big thing is like it almost feels like it's a political piece, and it just so happens that it's the Empire and a lightsaber that are there as like the two like Star Wars bits to it, you know? Like it's like a city that's like, oh, we've always been able to take care of ourselves. Why should we do anything? And the daughter's like, times are changing, Dad. We have to work with these people or else we're going to fall apart. We're not going to be able to survive. Just so happens that's the Empire from Star Wars. And the other cool thing I liked about it that really kind of pulled me in was that like the lightsabers and the Jedi bit of everything was more of like a purely samurai-esque thing where it was like the samurai blade, which they didn't even call a saber until like a little bit after the fact. that like it was like something that they had the father had earned long ago, that was handed down, and like was a family heirloom that was passed on to his daughter, who he thought really deserved it, which is, I feel like, more like in like the samurai-esque bit of it than it is like the Star Wars like sci-fi bit of it, which I thought was really cool. Also, to have a rabbit woman fighting with a lightsaber and like a diamond encrusted sai, it was really fucking cool.
Yeah,
that
was like
was
probably
kinda
the coolest lightsaber design like I have ever seen. Where there was like the fucking like markings in the blade, and it was like shaped
in
like
the
a
actual
samurai sword.
laser,
Like,
it had the markings.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like that's so. They would never allow that in a real Star Wars thing.
Not at all.
It's a damn shame because that looks awesome.
It looked rad as fuck.
I mean, the lightsaber umbrella is the single coolest weapon we got out of this whole thing. But
of course,
you know,
we'll get to that.
We'll get into that. So, Brennan, any comments on Lop and Ocho before I move on to the big three?
I mean, I feel like this episode does a really good job of kind of like showing the predicament that like oppressed peoples find themselves in. Like, you know, if you look back in the day, like when pretty much the world was dominated by empires, just kind of like, you know, taking over lands, like you always had your collaborators, like the people that, you know, they bought in just to like get some safety, and you always had your people that resisted. And I believe Benjamin Franklin once said, like, those who sacrifice freedom for security end up with neither.
Yeah.
Because, you know, one day, like, the Empire could just be like, well, we're done working with you guys, and then just wipe them all out.
Right.
So, I mean, it's cool to see, like, this family go through that. Because, like, you have, obviously, the dad who's, like, a hardcore, like, William Wallace type. You have, you know, the daughter who's, like, the collaborator. Like, okay, the Empire, they're way too powerful. We'll never beat them. We might as well just buy in just for the sake of safety. And then you have the adopted daughter who is, like, caught in the middle of all that, who, you know, takes up the father's mantle because, you know, the big sister, like, defeats the father. But then, of course, you know, loves her sister. And in the end, you know, you see the droid, like, showing, like, the family tapes and stuff. So, I mean, it's cool that it, like, touched on all those things. I mean, I don't really like the ending because, like, Big Sis got defeated, but still just kind of, like, skirts out.
Yeah.
But
it was a little odd.
Although,
I mean,
I will say, though, that, like, I kind of wish they would just do a full series to finish out that plot line.
Honestly,
like,
yeah.
I would like to see more of that story. I really would.
Yeah. I would say that this one and the 3 episodes that we're going to put above it all deserve their own series, in my opinion. Like, I like the universe of all of them a lot. Like, that I could totally see them doing, like, their own little branch-off series. Or even if, like, they were to do another season of this show where they bring in a couple more studios, just keep going with, like, these 4, give another episode, like, another journey in these 4 stories, adventures. Because of all, like, the actual, like, worlds it created, these 4 are, like, the ones that I'm like, I want to see these characters again. Like, I would totally be down to see them, like, for a long series of time.
For sure.
The one that I would say I would want to see more of, the least of the top 3, because I definitely still think this should be above Lop and Ocho. I think this should be number 3, is The Duel. I think that The Duel, visually astounding, same studio that made Batman Ninja, which is the weebiest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of weeby shit in my life. And that's the weebiest thing ever. And they did it again here with The Duel, because they gave us the lightsaber umbrella. They managed to give us this beautiful art style where it's like, it's black and white, except for like the blades and the lasers. So they just like really cut through, and it looks amazing.
So good, dude.
And they have like the film grain, so it just looks like an old school like samurai movie. And it's great. The whole thing is great. I do think that the story is stronger for The Elder and the Ninth Jedi, though. So I think if that's a reason to like hold it back, then, you know, I think, because like, when at the end of the day, I still don't know who the fuck the main character of that was.
It's true.
He was a cool guy. That's all I gathered from it. Like, such a cool episode. It was basically just all action, and it was all great. And again, they had a fucking lightsaber umbrella. I don't know if they will ever come up with a lightsaber design that is crazier than that horseshit. That was so cool and stupid and awesome.
The fact that it was even like an extension of a normal lightsaber, like she just put it in the end of it, and then it became
a lightsaber out of the handle. Yeah,
I was like, wait, how the fuck does that work?
Actual like weapon that they would use was like the umbrella swords, where like they would sheath the sword into like an umbrella. It was like that one chick at Soul Calibur has that fighting style. I think that's based off of a real thing. It might not be. I might be dumb, but it's at least in Soul Calibur. So that they did that,
So it's
but then
gotta
they
be
made
real.
the umbrella extra blades. Like, that's awesome.
I don't know. I thought this episode, like, literally, like, my biggest thing about this entire series was I don't think they should have made this episode the first episode. In fact, I think they should have made it the last episode, because the entire time I was watching the series, I wanted something to be as cool as this episode. And I do think the Elder and the Ninth Jedi were able to do it, but was it better than them? And I actually don't know, because I really don't know what order to put these three in, if I'm being honest with you. But the duel was so fucking cool. Like what you said with like the way that like the lightsabers had so much more impact because like they were the only thing that was really lit other than maybe a couple lights around. The fact that like the main villain like chick like kind of had like a video game boss progression where she had one form and then she took out just one lightsaber and then she kind of loses the thing and her hair pops out and she's like crazed and you're like, oh, it's the third form of the boss.
I didn't even
like,
think about it that way, but you're right. Like,
it's so cool. It just felt so good. And then they have like a fight on a log and like the river and it's going and then like I didn't expect the droid to be like the answer to everything and like the fact that they use so many cool different races, like that, like I don't think any other episode used as many like races that were used throughout the series in one episode. Like you had like the Bosk dude, like the reptilian guy. Was, the double bladed dude, Sebulba, whatever his race is, was in like the flying thing with multiple sabers. Fucking the weird thing with like the eyes that stretched out was like the one like dude that kind of survived. I guess I don't know. It's just like it felt like so much cool Star Wars stuff shoved into one episode that felt like so much more like a classic samurai thing. Like,
I think this one really excelled too because like while all the other ones were kind of like this is Star Wars but like with our art style, this was literally just like we're gonna take like stormtrooper armor and we're gonna merge it with samurai armor. Like they really were just like, what if Star Wars was in feudal Japan? They just really leaned into it.
It was literally
so
like Batman
stylistic,
Ninja.
and that's its strength. Like it didn't try to be like realistic to Star Wars at all. It was like we're just gonna take two things. We're gonna take samurais, and we're gonna take Star Wars, and we're just gonna smoosh them together and make something really cool. It made just this visual feast of like cool shit that I'm so glad exists.
For sure.
But like, I don't know if pure visuals puts it above things that have good visuals and good writing. And I think that the other two have better writing.
Here's the one other thing I want to put out there about this episode, then I'm going to stop talking about it because I've kind of gushed about it a lot, is that I really liked the way they told story without like saying anything. Like the fact that like this whole time you're not super sure why this dude is in this village, you know, like this, obviously this Sith, apparently ex-Sith perhaps, who knows really, that's collecting kyber crystals that you don't really realize that's his point until he like lifts it up and you realize he has like a list of I think of kyber crystals that he had once mentioned that he's trying to find them. He gives one to the kids. So like, what is really the situation with the kyber crystals? You don't really realize he's a Sith until the very like when he pulls out the lightsaber. You're like, holy shit! Wait, what? I thought he was.
Well, he might
a Jedi.
not be a Sith though. He might have just kept the lightsaber because he was killing.
That
Sith.
is true as well. And then like I love that like you don't really know why he's there. What's he doing here? And then the moment in the waterfall where like she thinks it's his lightsaber, she slashes and that gives him the opportunity to stab her in the back, which is another like kind of throwback to like the quick slash bite samurai style. There's like a Sith temple underneath that waterfall and like you're like, oh, is that why he's here? Is he here to like collect something? What is it? It's enticing and you don't really know what he's there for. He then comes up and he has the kyber crystals. Perhaps maybe there's a kyber crystal there. Maybe he took one out of the statue. Like, I just feel like it had so many cool little, like, enticing bits that I'd love to see, like, kind of, like, talked about more. I feel like it's the hardest to make a series of the top four that we're talking about here, because, like, it's just, like, such a moment, whereas like, the other ones have, like, a starting point that they show, and then they can go from, whereas this one's just, like, where do you go from here? It's a cool world, but you don't have, like, a starting point. But yeah, I don't know, I just... Yeah, go ahead.
I was about to say, I've been trying to talk for a minute. Holy
no, it's
shit.
okay. I've gushed about it for a while.
God damn. All right. So this episode is like a masterclass in ambiguity and subtlety. So you have this dude, You don't really know why he's there. He's got his little droid with him. Okay, all of a sudden, like, the bandits show up. You know, feudal Japan, we're coming to take all your shit. And I think that, like, it was cool how, of course, like, these bandits, like gathered everyone up. All right, who's your chief? You know, little kid steps up. And then, like, the guards do, like, kind of like an ambush. I thought that part was really cool. And then, like, you finally see, like, our hero rise to action. And, you know, like I said, like, it's very little, like, very, like, subtleties as far as, like, who this guy is leading up to this point. And, of course, like, he tells the one guy, like, hey, like, my droid needs to be running by the time this, you know, pot boils. And, like, you think of it as, like, you know, it's, like, some kind of, like, hidden threat, but actually that's, like, the droid's, like, activation. So, like, I thought that was cool. Like, they left that out until, you know, you saw it. And then, as Kyle said, like, you know, when fucking Umbrella Lady comes out, you know, she pretty much wipes out the whole town's, like, guards, except, like, a few that end up surrendering. But, like, you realize there's, like, levels to her. And finally, like, our hero comes in and, like, you know, he duels her and she's like, oh, like, this guy is a real foe. And, you know, he whips out the lightsaber. Like, you think he's Sith. But then, I mean, like, at the time you think he's Sith. They're battling it out. She takes off the thing, shows her hair, you know, whips out the sword from her umbrella. Like, it just shows, like, that there's, like, so many, like, levels of complexity and ambiguity that, like, they don't explain, but they just kind of, like, give you. And I love that. And, you know, they're on the log, the droid activates, he's firing rockets and shit, he's taking everybody out. His one rocket, like, distracts her. Like, it was cool. And then you see how, like, he falls off the log. He goes into the temple, so, like, buys him some time. And, of course, her, like, the log makes it to the end of the waterfall. She's, like, I thought it was cool how she jumped down. And my man pulls, like, some smoke and mirrors. He has the lightsaber, like, in the fucking clutches of the statue.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, her, like, you see, like, her moment of pride before the fall. Because, you know, she uses the log to kind of, like, clear, like, to open up the waterfall. And she's like, fuck yeah, like, I got him. Flies in there, slashes it, realizes, oh shit, it's a statue. Boom, it's already too late. And then my man, like, takes the kyber crystal, probably from her lightsaber, maybe from that temple, I don't know. And
didn't they show him, like, breaking the lightsaber and taking the kyber crystal out at the end?
Hers.
oh, was that hers?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so yeah,
hers.
that was hers. Yeah, so I don't know. Kyle must have, like, fucked me up there for a sec.
Well, there's a
But,
lightsaber in the hands of the
Well, that was his.
statue. But
'Cause
he
doesn't
also
he-
killed her with a lightsaber, so I think he
Yeah,
had
but-
his,
but
and
he
that
has-
saber was
I think
in
he
his
had
hand.
Samurai, all right. Samurai
He had, like, a
carry.
little sword and a long sword.
They have a
right?
katana, and I
okay.
can't remember what the little. It's like a dagger.
Yeah, I forget
so,
what it's
like, he-
called, but yeah.
Is it
He
a
used his little
wakizashi?
dagger
Am I
to, like-
wrong about that? That
Something
might
like
be
that.
just a word drop that I
don't
know.
I have no
So-
idea.
It's like a smaller katana from what I've seen.
Weebs
But you-
rise up in the comments.
But you
and
see
educate
that.
us.
Come
You
into
see
it.
that. You see that. Like, and of course, like, this is all presented in, like, the old school, like, Kurosawa, like, samurai movie style, all black
Right.
and white, except, like, certain things are in color, like some Schindler's List shit going on, and fucking.
Oh,
like-
what? You were like dropping samurai movies like Kurosawa, and then you're just like Schindler's List. Like,
You're not
what
wrong,
a
though.
we-
They did that in Schindler's List.
Yeah, they did that shit with the
and
little red dress.
They did. I just didn't expect to go from Kurosawa to Schindler's List.
The Giver.
And then,
You know
like,
what?
the
You got me.
final little bit of subtlety and ambiguity is, like Kyle mentioned before, when he opens up his, like, trench coat, instead of watches, you see kyber crystals, and it makes you realize, like, okay, like, this guy's not a Jedi, he's probably not a Sith. Maybe this guy is just like the ultimate anti-hero. Like, he just kind of wants to, like, wipe out all of those that maybe he feels like have the power. But then, of course, he has the Force, so, like, I don't know, maybe he is a Jedi. Who fucking knows? But it's so cool that, like, they leave that part out. He gives the kyber crystal to the kid, and then you just see him go about his way.
Mhm.
And it makes me wonder, like, does this dude do this all the fucking time? Like,
Yeah.
is every
It would
village
be
he
cool
come
to
in?
see, like, more episodes where it's just like he goes to, like, a new planet or, like, a new village and just, like,
Yeah.
fuck someone up to, like, take kyber crystals. I would easily watch a full
I would watch that
series
in a heartbeat.
of this dude just going on the hunt. It'd be incredible.
In this
I would love
style
it.
with like, oh man.
Which makes me want to put it above 2, or makes me want to put it at 2. I think
I can see it going at 2,
I can as well.
but here's the thing. I think there's, like, I think there is like a very definitive number one. I really hope
Hit me with it.
that it's the one that you all think is the definitive number one also.
Kind of nervous.
Hit me with
I
it.
thought The Ninth Jedi was perfect. I thought it deserves to be number one. And I know by your reaction that that's not the one that you guys were thinking of. So let me explain.
No!
I know
Explain
what you're
yourself.
thinking. Well, no, The Elder's great too. The Elder has the best fight scene. I will say The Elder has the best fight scene.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But The Ninth Jedi, a thing that we've brought up multiple times throughout this ranking, right, is like, does it feel like Star Wars? Does it like evoke Star Wars-ness? The Ninth Jedi did that better than any of them, hands down. And they did it in like just with the overall writing and just in really subtle ways. Like, it's one of the only ones where it like had the standard like orchestral soundtrack, kept it feeling Star Wars-y. Whenever it did the scene transitions, it did like the generic fades like they do in all of the Star Wars movies. Little touches like that, I thought, just like really helped push it into the Star Wars universe a lot more than any of these other ones. And the plot was just really good. I liked that they didn't waste any time. A lot of our problems with like the timing and the storytelling on a lot of these was that like they spend half of the fucking 15 minutes like trying to set up backstory by not telling you anything. And then like by the time you get to the end, like you have some questions left over. This one is like they just give you a really quick like 1 minute exposition dump. You are in it, and then you can just enjoy the whole thing, and they have a full story to tell. And that was also really appreciated, especially after some of the other ones where it was like, you know, I'm spending like 10 minutes trying to figure out what's going on, and then it's like 5 minutes of cool shit, and then it's over. I really liked the idea behind this one of like the lightsabers change color based on like your alliance, and then like that
cool.
being the reveal of like all these guys are actually Sith. It's like the perfect way to like drop the plot twist too. And the fact that like the main character has like the clear lightsaber because she hasn't like chosen a side yet, and then like it turns green in the middle of like the climactic fight is so cool. And then the one guy who's like he's just like going along with them, but he's not an actual Sith, and it turns purple like halfway through.
Right, that guy.
And then you kind of like notice like, oh, why isn't his lightsaber red? And he's like, hey, you're not actually Sith. Like, you should just stop because like clearly you don't want to be doing this because your thing's purple now. And he's like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. Like, that was just like a really creative way of like adding some extra flair to Star Wars that probably would never exist in the movies, but it like works so well. Like, this is while stuff like the first one, what is the name of the first one that we were just The Duel. Well, stuff like The Duel is like the exact opposite of that, and it works great. Like I was saying, like they weren't trying to make it feel like Star Wars. It was like, we're just going to take Star Wars, we're going to take a Kurosawa film, and we're just going to shove them together and make something cool. This is very much like the studio was like, we want to make something that feels like Star Wars and give it our own flair. And I think that they just excelled at that perfectly. This was also made by Production IG, which is like one of the biggest anime studios ever. Like they made fucking Attack on Titan. They made Haikyuu. As far as like sci-fi shit goes, like they made Ghost in the Shell. They made Psycho-Pass, like two of the greatest sci-fi animes ever. So like I'm glad they did not drop the ball with this, and I would say they actually knocked it out of the fucking park, because I really truly believe that like as a full package, The Ninth Jedi just checks all the boxes. It's got great art, great animation, a great story that's like, it's well written, it doesn't overstay its welcome, it can tell the whole story within the time limit, and it leaves off where like they could continue it if they wanted to into like a full series, and I'd be down for that, because that shit was fucking cool. I just think it did everything right. I don't have any gripes with this at all, except for like maybe the one dude's voice acting, but like
exactly. You've already brought up my point as to why I think The Elder's better.
The Elder doesn't have good voice acting either.
Yes, it does. What are you talking about? What do you mean?
The Elder does, but like one guy's being questionable compared to like pretty much everything else Tyler has said. Totally does not take The Elder above it.
No.
But like The Elder's, oh my god.
No, The Elder's great. Don't get me wrong.
I can't believe you guys. Don't get me wrong. Okay, before I talk about The Elder, I think you're totally right about The Ninth Jedi. However, the orchestral track and the wipes and everything were also in The Elder. Very few episodes did do it, but The Elder also did it, and that's why I thought the two of them were really cool, because they had like the little spice, you know, like it was like, here's a little bit more Star Wars juice in the episode, you know. We talk about, you know, like this whole like blending of styles and whether or not you just want to take Star Wars, you want to put it into like Kurosawa film, or you want to like kind of blend together your own idea of Star Wars, the bits of the samurai bit with like the lightsaber smith and whatnot from The Ninth Jedi. I just fucking adore the way that Elder just mashed the two together perfectly, not doing too much of one or the other. It did them both so well together. It felt like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were going on a journey. Like, it almost felt like it was like kind of like two of those characters like esque experience where they kind of like had like a back and forth. They had like these conversations about the Force and how it impacted things. They talked about like the greater like expanse of Jedi, where like he at the beginning he was telling him about how he's like, everyone says you're like the greatest Jedi. Oh my gosh, you know, like about all these stories, and he's like very like modest, but he still likes to joke with him, and he was just like, I hope you're being sarcastic and shit. Like, it was like the back and forth, like the kind of wittiness of like what you want from like an Anakin and Obi-Wan as well, kind of thing. And then I had like the orchestral music moments. It had like witty moments, like with the kids and him, like just having like, it was enough that you could argue it maybe took you out a little bit, but it was short enough that it didn't, and it still brought like this charm, you know, with like him winking at the kids, and then him to come up and be like, the kids are very hard to woo. It's impressive that you've already done it, you know, and then for him to like kind of go up and be really gung-ho, like is a very like common like trope in Star Wars, for him to fight, and then for them to show like the sheer like difference in experience between him and the Elder, for them then to have that be a parallel to how close it was between the Elder and like the actual Jedi Knight, which was what's his name? The guy from Stranger Things and the guy that was in Harbor? What's his name? I don't fucking know, whatever. He was in that dude. He was like the Red Riot dude. Not Red Riot, that's my hero.
What the fuck?
Jesus. You might fucking move on.
Black Widow, the dad of Black Widow. What was his name?
Dave Harbour, I think his name is.
David Harbour. Yeah, that's him.
Oh, I totally didn't put that together. That's neat.
I was the whole time I was like, why does his voice sound familiar? I looked it up. I was like, what the fuck? It was really cool. But anyways, he comes along and like is able to like go one-on-one with him, you know, and like there's like the talk about like age versus power versus time and like all these things that like are all swirling around. Like, what does it mean to like the Force? And like it has like the really incredible fight, like you were saying. It probably has the best fight in the whole series, where like him and the two of them go back and forth. And like the unexpected, like you think the Jedi's dead, like the Padawan's dead, but then he like throws his lightsaber to distract him for just a moment to get the like the swift strike and everything. It has so much impact. I also fucking love the detail where like he pulls the lightsaber out and you see the heat initially come off of it from the rain hitting the saber as his green saber comes out for the first time. Like there's just so much detail. There's so much like Star Wars, like a Jedi and a Padawan going on an adventure, the Jedi teaching the Padawan, him learning from the experience, but seeing the depth of the Sith, you know, or like maybe the Sith, we don't really know what his exact origins are, which creates even more ambiguity, which is what the duel does so well. I was so fucking impressed by this episode. It doesn't go over the top at all, like some of the episodes go too far, similar to like the twins and stuff, but like it knows where to go hard, when to kind of take it a little slow. The pacing was beautiful in it. I fucking adored it. That being said, I'm curious to know, Brennan, what you think about the Elder versus the Ninth Jedi, because we've both kind of gushed about the opposite one, and Brennan, you haven't got really a chance to talk about either.
See, like, I really like the Elder. I think that you definitely hit a lot of stuff right on the head whenever you talk about it. The fact that it is kind of like your stereotypical like master and apprentice story, where like obviously like the master is like a very, very wise, like he's not old, but he's older, like he's mature. He's definitely a Qui-Gon kind of guy. And you get like a young like Obi-Wan kind of apprentice, and like you just see like the wisdom that he tries to imbue on him. You see like the back and forth kind of like banter that you got with like, I mean, not so much banter, but like the back and forth, like kind of reminiscent of Obi-Wan and Anakin, but like not like as funny. I thought that was really cool. I thought that it was cool that, you know, whenever the apprentice kind of like goes off and Qui-Gon's kind of like, hey man, like, like he's always like warning him about like potential like threats, like the Vamgas or whatever, Vamka. Like, hey, like they can be pretty wild, but like don't provoke them. Like you could just tell like the dude had like been around, all right. And then you get like the apprentice comes across like something even more wild than that. Like you had the master who's been around, but like you have this like old ass fucking like samurai dual blade guy that like my man, not only has he been around, but he's been to hell and back. Like he is
Yeah.
he is as tough as a $3 steak. Like my man, he's seen it, he's done it.
That was incredible.
Solid metaphor.
And like you see, I love in that how you see like the apprentice get humbled. Like even the elder is like, wow, like I thought you were the powerful one and you fucking weren't. Like how like disheartening would that be? You're like this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed guy, and like this old guy just puts you right in your place. And then of course, like, he defeats him, but doesn't finish him. And then you see like the real fight between the master and the elder, and you see them go toe to toe. You see the distraction. You see the master take advantage of that. And I love how after it was all said and done, the master was like, had I fought him in his prime, the outcome would probably have been vastly different.
Yeah.
Like you see, like, obviously the master is the master of his ability, but he's totally aware that like there's levels to the shit that even expand upon like beyond him. And I think that's just like so much wisdom just packed into this dude. But I feel like the Kurosawa episode, like, to me, I feel like everything that it pulls together, like feudal Japan, samurai, like how you don't really know who this guy is, but you see him like outsmart like Sith lords and shit, Umbrella Lady. Like, I think all of that shit is just like way cooler. And I feel like the Ninth Jedi just has so much more like of a story, and so much, like Tyler said, like the lightsabers changing colors depending on which side you're on is like just an epic way of telling like who's who. And like the whole episode, you're being led to believe that like, oh, these are all my Jedi bros. Like we're gonna go like take out the Sith together. Like we're gonna go fucking clean house, do some cool shit. I got my boys here. And then you dish out the lightsabers and you realize, oh, they're not my fucking boys. Like they're on the other side. These are the bad guys. And it's like you have all of that like packed into that episode. And like you see like, of course, like the girl at first, like she's just grayed out. But then like you see her gain like her true power with her colors. You see the guy like kind of flip-flop because he goes from red to purple because he's like, fuck, I'm not really into this anymore. Like all my buddies are dead. Like it is like such a cool like vessel to like teach that kind of story, or to portray that kind of story. So I mean, I just agree. The Elder was sick. I fucking love the Elder, but I feel like the other two do it just a touch better.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with Brendan here because I think that the Elder does like the fight scene probably the best out of all of them in a way, because I like how it's all about like every strike has like a fucking purpose. It's like actual like sword fighting. I think that's cool. It's like no flash, all substance basically. It still looks cool, but it's not like where you have like the twins where it's just like all flare and you have no idea what's going on. This is like an actual choreographed fight, and it's great.
Which is incredible because it's the same studio doing the exact same thing.
I know, it makes
no sense. I just want to point that out. I don't mean to cut you off, but I think that's really awesome.
I think it was just different teams working on it.
Yeah.
Clearly the team that does most of the Trigger stuff did the twins because it's the same art style and stuff.
It's fair.
Looks exactly like Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann and Promare and all that bullshit. But the more we talk about it, honestly, the more we've talked about the duel, I do kind of like... I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to side with Brennan. That's at the end of the day. I think that the duel is a little bit better than the Elder because it sort of like leans into the samurai shit like even more. And like while the Elder is like perfect, I think that like the fact that the duel is like way more stylized in that and kind of like leans more into it makes it like a little more compelling to like watch in a way. And then I think the Ninth Jedi is just so well written and it's so like airtight and it evokes Star Wars so much compared to the rest of them that like I really can't reason with putting anything above that.
I will say that my main reasoning why I put the Elder above the Duel is because it evokes Star Wars more than the Duel does, but also does the cool samurai stuff and blends it in with like everything so Star Wars about it, which would, I mean, if you're saying the Duel is better than the Elder, even though Elder does cool Star Wars stuff, and then saying that number one just does Star Wars so well is quite interesting to me.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what, I can flip-flop either way on the Duel and the Elder, but the Ninth Jedi has to be number one.
And here's my thing, Raze, I have no problems with any of the three other than the fact that Ethan annoys the fuck out of me in the Ninth Jedi.
Ethan has like 2 lines.
No, he doesn't. He talks the entire beginning of the episode before you meet. He's literally like the point of substance up until you meet the daughter, like 5 minutes in. He talks the entire. I'm like, stop talking.
He talks for
Why were you hired to
5
talk?
minutes out of a 20-minute episode. It's fine.
But then he talks at the end again, and I'm like, you're taking me out of it, dude. You sound like you're literally. They were in the office. They were like, ah, man, we ran out of voice actors. Hey, Jim from HR, get over here. Get over here. Can you read this paper for me? He's terrible. It takes me out of it so much. And if we're talking about 3 really great episodes, that takes me out enough to put it beneath the other 2. If I'm being honest with you, I totally agree with all the points you make. But I agree
that his voice acting is bad. It does not take away from it at all.
It's the only thing that takes away from anything of all 3.
In the grand scheme of things, it does not take away from it that much.
It's the only thing that takes me out of any of the 3.
Then watch it in the original Japanese and you will no longer have that problem. Let's just take the voice acting right on out of there. Let's say we watch this in the authentic Japanese. Let's say I'm a true weeb and I only watch subbed. This is no longer a problem.
I only watch
closed.
subbed.
But then all of them are good and there's still only one issue. Just saying.
Yeah, and now that issue has been eliminated because now we're in true weeb mode. The voice
but it doesn't
acting
change
is
the
gone.
fact that a version of the show that is
and the
canon.
Story and all the other qualities that we've been talking about.
This shit ain't canon.
No, it's not canon. But like to the existence of the episodes.
That's no longer a thing.
You're not negating my point. It still exists that there's bad voice acting.
Watch it subbed. Your point
you
is
you cannot delete it from
Kyle,
existence.
You literally have an option to not listen to that dude's voice and still enjoy the episode.
But it still exists, and we can't just deny that it exists.
If you're a true weeb, you can.
That's
People
not
might
true.
be giving us shit already if we watched it dubbed.
We can't.
And not subbed.
We can't ignore that
it doesn't
exists,
matter. I've already been outvoted. We could
yeah.
go about this all day. I've been outvoted. It's fine. I think it's 3rd, and I think Elder's number 1. And I think Duel's 2nd. Personal rankings. I am outvoted though.
Personal ranking for me, Duel's number 1.
I figured. I figured it would be for you.
I'd probably put Duel, Elder, and then Ninth Jedi.
I would put Elder, Duel, Ninth Jedi.
I don't know, but I really liked all 3. Like I wouldn't.
I also like. They're very close. They're very.
Yeah,
close.
they're all very. I think we can agree they are all really, really good episodes.
We're getting a pink elephant situation.
Apparently,
we're getting a pink elephant situation where we all have a favorite.
We don't want to get into the fucking pink elephant situation ever again. So we're gonna put my fucking foot down. We've gone on long enough. We're just gonna lock it in. Is that what we decided on? That we're gonna do Ninth Jedi, the Duel, and the Elder in that order? Is that what we decided on?
Brennan just seemed like he wanted a 3rd.
Or am I wrong?
Fuck? Well, I
now
thought
Brennan seems to be flip flopping on that.
I thought we were doing well. Look, I thought it was gonna be Elder, Duel, Ninth Jedi. I thought that's what the order was.
Elder as 3, Duel as 2, Ninth Jedi as 1 is what I was saying.
Oh yeah. I thought you were counting up, not down. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Is that what we're doing?
If that's what you two agree on, then I'm outvoted because I think it's the other way. I think Elder should be number 1, Ninth Jedi 3, and Duel 2.
Because I can't live with Elder being better than Duel, but I'm up in the air about Ninth Jedi because I feel like Ninth Jedi
seems to be the most middle ground because then
that seems to be the more agreed on. Yeah,
except I'm getting my number 1. And
that seems to be the more agreed upon thing here. So,
but
we'll lock it in because it's
we see this seems to be the easiest way to go. So we're gonna go with that. But let us know in the comments below which way you swing. or if you have some like wild, crazy pick. Let us know.
Someone
I
probably
think
likes
Toby's
Toby.
the best.
Maybe you're just like a huge Toby stan.
It's like enjoy being wrong.
Yeah. But hey, we'll do a quick recap and then we'll close things out because we have been talking quite a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
This has been a bit of a long one. So number 9 is our boy Toby. Number 8 is Tatooine Rhapsody. Number 7 is the Twins. Number 6 is Akakiri. Keep wanting to say Akira, and that's definitely not it.
Not that.
Number 5 is The Village Bride. Number 4 is Lop and Ocho. Number 3 is The Elder. Number 2 is The Duel, and number 1 is The Ninth Jedi. But take your pick on those top 3. They're all number 1.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a 3-way tie. So yeah, this has been a fun little deviation from music, and I honestly really enjoyed doing this. This was a nice breath of fresh air to talk about something other than Swancore for a change.
Swancore mixed with Spirit Box.
Yeah. So let us know by liking this video if you liked it, and also let us know in the comments if you want us to kind of delve into more of this shit in the future, because we would definitely like to. I mean, we're probably going to start doing some more movie show stuff in the future anyway, alongside the music stuff. But this is our first experiment with this, so let us know if you liked it or if you didn't. And also, of course, let us know in the comments below what your personal rankings are for all of these episodes if you have watched Star Wars Visions. Excuse me. Future me, put in a Star Wars sound effect over that burp.
Ooh.
That'd be cool.
Put a Wilhelm scream.
I was gonna say the Wilhelm scream feels like the most obvious.
Yeah,
that or a TIE fighter, like,
we'll figure something out. So yeah, also make sure you guys subscribe to the Talks a Lot Boys if you haven't already. Go check out some of our other stuff. Like we said before, we have used this format to rank a lot of albums. So if you're into music, if you're into good music, I should say, maybe go check out some of that stuff if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel. If you're just coming in here for the Star Wars and the anime, then maybe we can expose you to some new shit you might like. And we have a show called Pitch It To Me Baby where we do improv character creation, and it's super fun. And no one watches it, and we're probably never going to do it after like the last episode we have in the backlog. So watch those while they're here, because they're fun, and maybe you'll like them. But that's going to do it for us for today. So we have been the Talks a Lot Boys, and we will talk a whole lot more next time. May the Force be with you, bitches.